It's heartbreaking when we find out our role models are pieces of shit, isn't it? But what's even worse is when guys come off as great people and then you find out how truly awful they are. It's one thing to see a jerk and know he's a jerk and simply accept that, provided that asshole can find the end zone. It's another when a person puts up a certain veneer and you find out it's faker than a hood rat's eyebrows. Here are 5 NFL good guys who are actually awful people. And before I get into this, I want to Number 5, Warren Sapp. Now, it's no secret that Warren Sapp was a big-time asshole on the field. But what's disheartening about him is in his post-NFL career, he comes off as a charming and articulate analyst that seems like a good guy to hang out with. Unfortunately, off camera, Warren Sapp seems like the piece of shit Mike Sherman says he is, apparently treating fans like shit if they dare approach him. In 2015, he was arrested and pled guilty to paying 2 prostitutes $300 each to have sex with him, but allegedly roughing them up in a dispute over the money GTA 3 style. However, I can probably see a dispute like this happen, as I bet the 2 hookers looked at the situation like on an airline where a bigger man has to pay for 2 seats, and then Warren probably caught feelings about his weight and all. Sapp was of course fired for that, and now he has admitted to sending dildos and sex toys to a co-worker at the NFL Network as Christmas gifts 3 straight years. That's great, Warren. I mean, who doesn't want a free dildo? This ref doesn't. Number 4, O.J. Simpson. To list OJ at number 4 is a little shocking, but really, everybody knows about OJ and how he had a true dark side that didn't come off in his on-air and on-film persona. I think what you younger people may not realize is that OJ really was a darling of the media and TV, and his charm, good looks, and marginal acting skills made him beloved to fans, powerful people, and pretty blonde white women. And it would be a blonde who he allegedly murdered along with Ronald Goldman, who just happened to be in the absolutely wrong place at the wrong time. I was 17 when I first heard of the discovery of the bodies and the chase, and really everything in me wanted to believe he didn't do it, especially since I wanted to see him in at least 2 more Naked Gun movies because Nordberg was fucking hilarious. Since his acquittal, of course, OJ has not exactly been the vigilante he said he would be, doing drugs, getting into mischief, and of course doing time for trying to steal his own stuff back. You know, I've never met a girl named Karma in my life, but I'm sure she's a bitch. Number 3, Dave Meggitt. Now this one you might not know about as much as obviously the most high-profile murder case in the world at the time, but Dave Meggitt really ended up being not the guy you thought he was. The former New York Giant running back and special teams player was famous for his heart and drive on the football field, and Chris Berman famously used to say, "Look at that little Meggitt run." After his career in which he was one of Bill Parcells' favorites, and trust me, it's not easy to be a Bill Parcells favorite, Meggitt was a TV analyst and frequented many radio shows and even coached in college. What people didn't know was that Meggitt was a serial rapist and had numerous incidents involving sexual misconduct and assault, the most awful being a 10-year terrorizing of a young college student, which involved burglary and reported abuse. Meggitt was convicted and sentenced to 30 years prison in 2010 and is currently serving time in a South Carolina prison. Number 2, Marvin Harrison. Mild-mannered, super nice guy, Hall of Fame wide receiver. Murderer? Marvin Harrison was a dominant wide receiver for 13 years, all with the Colts. He set receiving record after record in being Peyton Manning's favorite target. And as he was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, little mention of his shady past was even brought up. In 2008, Harrison was accused by convicted drug dealer Dwight Dixon of shooting him outside of a business owned by Harrison in North Philly. The gun used in the incident was indeed linked to a gun owned by Harrison. However, it was unable to be determined whether Harrison pulled the trigger or not, and charges were dismissed. Another man, Robert Nixon, was also shot in the crossfire, and he subsequently sued Harrison. A year after the incident, Dixon was shot several times in his car 2 blocks away from a bar owned by Harrison. Before dying, Dixon asserted that Harrison's cousin was the trigger man and that Harrison had put the hit out on him. Several guns owned by Harrison were seized and security footage of the crime had been erased, and eventually Harrison was not charged in the crime, and the incident has been swept under the rug. I guess if you're gonna kill someone, make it a drug dealer? Number 1, Darren Sharper. Darren Sharper was an all-pro NFL safety and Super Bowl champion, handsome, well-educated, and well-spoken. The former NFL Network analyst had engaging segments like the Pick Magnet and was entertaining and funny, but he had a despicable and utterly disgusting dark side. Beginning in 2011, Sharper began a spree of predatory drugging and raping of over 15 women across 4 states, with him finally being arrested in January of 2014. Sharper was immediately fired from the NFL Network. Sharper also had accomplices in his spree, including former New Orleans Deputy Sheriff Brandon Liccardi, who was also convicted of rape. Sharper used his finances, charm, and connections to repeatedly deflect allegations until he was ultimately convicted and sentenced to 20 years prison in 2015. Good, you piece of shit. Sharper is technically eligible for the Hall of Fame, and even sports writer Peter King stated Sharper must be considered because off-field incidents supposedly aren't factored into the Hall of Fame decisions. I guess Peter King loves The Cosby Show too. And no, rape isn't funny. Darren Sharper can now have all the cocks he can handle in the big house. You earned them, dick magnet. Well, I hope you learned something in this video. If you are or know a victim of sexual assault, please don't be silent. You can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-4673 and be helped through the healing right away. Boy, this got serious real fast. Thanks for watching. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.